Welcome to the Monday, May the 11th, 2020 School Board Workshop. We are here today to discuss the graduation plans as it pertains to where we stand for this upcoming graduation. So at this time, without further ado, I will turn it over to Mr. Stallnaker. Ms. Joseph, and Ms. Joseph.
Madam Superintendent, Mr. Chairman, as principal of Madison County High School, my staff and my mission was to provide and come up with a more viable plan for Madison County High School's 2020 graduation. The plan obviously had to maintain safety of all people involved, students, those that are in attendance, as well as the staff and district personnel. With that, we had to identify some groundwork, an initial plan. An initial plan, obviously, is a plan that you build upon. You renew, revive, rebuild every day. Having said that, yes, I gave the board and went over an initial plan and shared that with the board and shared that with the community last week. Again, that was to lay the foundation. But we didn't stop there. We continued to research and talk with other districts and talk with the health department and talk with the sheriff's department. So we've looked at many options. But right now, the option that I'm going to present to the board tonight, I believe, meets the safety standards, safety protocols. It also meets the intent of being able to provide a safe graduation for all seniors and all staff. And after consultation with other districts and the health department, we made a couple changes, a couple updates. And I think the end state is for every graduate from Madison County High School to be able to walk on Boot Hill, Cowboy Field, whatever they want to call it, for their graduation ceremony. It will be nothing like any other ceremony that's ever been at Madison County High School. Probably, this procedure will lay the groundwork for future graduations at the high school because there's no telling what's going to happen, what's going to go forward. So having said that, let me get into the actual plan itself. Madison County High School administration and staff has explored options for the 1920 graduation ceremony. Graduation date will remain for May 22nd, and it will begin at 7 p.m. These steps and actions identified in this plan have been coordinated with the health department, and we're doing the best we can to make sure they fall within CDC guidelines. I do want to point out any student or family who fails to follow such guidelines identified in this plan will be asked to leave the campus. During their ceremony, all attendees, parents, and guardians will assume full responsibility, including his or her graduate, to follow all guidelines for social distancing as prescribed by CDC. Individuals failing to follow such guidelines will be subject to removal. What I am asking parents and family members that participate, if you or a family member has a weak immune system, please contact Rashonda Mitchell, MCHS nurse. We're going to do everything we can to accommodate you as best as possible. Having said that, Madison County High School will hold a graduation on Boot Hill using a modified format while maintaining social distance guidelines at all times. The following personnel will remain on the stage during the entire ceremony: the principal, superintendent, school board chairman, and MCHS staff who may be calling off names. However, there will be a minor change with that. The staff calling the names will be standing on the edge of the stadium, but not actually on the stadium. Now, the actual ceremony in itself, how are we going to go through that? Seniors and families will be seated on Boot Hill using individually assigned sections. And I'm going to explain that and show you this on the diagram. Each senior will have a personalized, I'm going to use the phrase, political sign to identify their seating section. Each senior will be given 6 color-coded armbands for their family. The graduate and families will be seated on the football field in groups of 7 chairs, 6 for the family and 1 for the graduate. Each attendee must have an armband to include children in strollers, children being carried, or infants. Additionally, if somebody is handicapped and is sitting in a handicapped seating section, they must also have an armband. I checked with surrounding districts. Suwannee County is providing 4 armbands. Taylor County is providing 8 armbands. The difference is Suwannee County has a larger class than we do. Taylor County has only had 3 or 4 positive tests for coronavirus. So we elected to go with 6. Boot Hill is going to be divided into 4 sections. North Home Side, North Visitor Side, South Home Side, and South Visitor Side. Each section has been given a name. North Home Side is going to be called Rockets. North Visitor Side is called Indians. South Visitor Side is Colts. South Home Side is called Broncos. What's important about the sections and the names that will also identify how you get into campus and also how you get into the actual stadium itself. For the Rockets, families of Adams, T, and Clark, K, will be seated in this section right here. In the Indian section, the visitors north side will be seated Co, Z, through Hampton, V.
Excuse me, Mr. Stallmaker, would there be any way we could do the camera to the whiteboard where the people?
I'm going to post this and provide this video for everybody else on Facebook.
Okay, thanks.
South Home Side is the Colts, will be Hasty, B, through Mullenix, N. Broncos will be Neal, B, through Wills, J. So that covers all our graduates.
Which is how many?
Excuse me?
How many?
96. If everybody walks, as of today, there's 96 graduates. Upon entry to the stadium, and I'll get to the entrance in just a moment, the graduates and their family will be escorted to their individual seating place. All seniors and families must wear masks of appropriate design. Masks deemed offensive will not be permitted. MCHS has 750, almost 800 surgical masks that will be on hand if someone needs a mask. Initially, I'm talking about the ceremony before I get to the entrance. I'm going to backtrack into that in just a moment. Initially, the valedictorian and salutatorian will be sitting on the stage with us. The salutatorian will do her address, then go back and sit with her family. The valedictorian will do her address, then go back and sit with her family. From that point, the ceremony will begin. Now, the layout of the stadium and the football field itself. The football field will be marked just like a traditional football field, with your yard lines at every 5 yards, going east and west. In other words, home side to visitor side. It will also have vertical lines going north and south, from concession stand to field house side or softball field side, if you're familiar with the field and the layout of the stadium. What that's going to do, it's going to be painted on the grass, and that will show you exactly where your pod is. So you'll have to make sure you stay within the confinements of that little white square, which is approximately 5 or 6 yards by 5 or 6 yards, once we get it laid out on the field. And in that square, you see these 7 dots. These 7 dots are 7 chairs. Those are for the 6 family members plus the graduate. So once the graduation ceremony starts, these graduates in the rocket session will be asked to stand. I'll have ushers and people to direct student movement inside each section as we go through it. The students will immediately walk to the line to the left. See this line right here? They'll go to that line, proceed to the 50-yard line. I'm thinking half court. To the 50-yard line, proceed to the stage. These students on the north end of the stage or the home concession end of the stage or the field will enter this part of the stage on the south side, come across the stage, walk the track, and go back to their seat, following the line, and they'll be shown where to go to make sure they maintain social distancing. We work all the way through this section. When we get close to the end of this section, we'll ask this section to stand. This section will do the same thing. They'll follow their line out to the 50-yard line, walk down, come across the stage, and go around. That takes care of the north half of the field. The south half of the field, which is lined the same direction, these students will stand. Instead of walking to the right or left, they'll walk to the right, to the inside line, come to the 50-yard line. The only difference, they'll cross the stage from the north side. You follow me? Come off the stage on the south side, walk back around, and come back into their seat. We work through this section, we get there. We get to this section, we pause for a moment, have these people stand, and these seniors will do the same thing. Come down the 50-yard line, cross the stage, or come to the north side of the stage, cross the stage, come off, then go back around their seat. Once we go through that process, every senior, as they're coming across the stage, they'll be recognized and then directed back to their seat with their family. One thing that we're not going to do, in years past, we gave each senior a diploma cover. We're not going to do that Friday night because of sanitization issues. We're going to have one diploma cover. When Miss Joseph presents that diploma cover to the senior, she'll hold one end, the senior will hold the other end, and take a picture. She keeps the diploma cover. That senior walks across the stage, exits the stage, and goes back to sit with their family. Students will receive, I have will not in my thing, will not receive their diploma until May 26th. So Tuesday, the seniors will need to come back to the school, and we'll do a drive-by out on the either on the flagpole side or bus ramp side and give them their diploma and their diploma cover and any other awards that they may have. The high school is going to hold a mandatory graduation practice Wednesday, May 20th at 9 a.m. And that's when the students will receive their armbands for graduation. Now, one thing I did not point out, each section is going to have their individual colored armband. Now, here's a question. What if, can I use you for an example, Mr. Daniels? What if you don't need 6 armbands? Can you give your armbands to somebody else? Yes and no. You're going to be seated in this section here. If you give your armbands to somebody, they have to sit with you in your section. They can't sit over here, over there, or over there because they're color-coded. If they don't say, if your armband is green and they don't have a green armband, they cannot sit there.
We also controlling the number of seats in a hall.
That you're absolutely correct.
The social distancing.
And we're controlling the social distancing. No chairs. Once we position the chairs, no chairs can be moved from this section to that section or from this section to that section.
All right, question.
Yes, sir.
Is this the football field only seating?
We,
I'm just trying to get a
what
idea.
we're using, you got the track. Right here in front of the track, there's a manhole.
Okay, so no in the stands.
Nobody will be in the stands. Not, no way, not,
Okay. I was
because,
just trying to get an idea of the seating.
correct. From on the, there's a manhole right there. We don't want that manhole in any of the movement because somebody could trip. So just inside the manhole, they're going to start the vertical lines, or excuse me, the lines going north and south for the sidelines. They're going to start right there, and they can go all the way to the track. If we need to spread out and put some people on the track on the other side, we can do that. But it's allowing the most control of the movement and keeping the social distancing and everything in place. Now, the intent is not to use any bleachers. Now, we're stickler on time. If somebody is late, I'm going to do everything I can to get the graduate to their seat. But that family has to sit in the visitor's bleacher side. Because once we start, I'm not going to have a whole bunch of people moving around other than graduates. That's all due respect to them and everybody else in the process of ceremony. Okay? Any questions on that part so I can move to the procedure on entrance and exit of the field?
Reiterate about no moving chairs.
Yes, again, we talked about not moving chairs. Say, for example, I'm going to go back and use you again, Mr. Daniels. Say, for example, something came up and you guys didn't show up. What my staff is going to do is take all 7 of your chairs, close them, and lay them down on the ground. Because I don't want people moving chairs from place to place. So if somebody is not there, their chairs will be laid down. And that way we can control the chairs. Also, one issue about the chairs, we need to control them. All the chairs we're going to have on the field don't belong to the school. So we also need to make sure they stay where they belong. Okay? All right. Now, I mentioned the color-coded armbands. The students will also have parking passes, 2 passes for 2 vehicles. I'm going to skip to parking, then come back to the procedure on how to get on the field. Each senior will be given 2 color-coded parking tickets corresponding to the seating assignment. We're going to do everything we can to put that senior's name and number on that ticket. The senior must ride in one of those 2 cars. And both vehicles are to arrive at the same time, because we're going to have parking attendants showing people where to park. So we can also maintain social distancing in the parking. Gates will open at 5:45. All seniors and families must arrive no later than 6:40. That's to allow all students to be seated in his or her appropriate seating place. I talked about the late arrivals already. Anybody arriving after 6:50 p.m. will be seated in the bleachers on the visitor side. Now, looking at the parking, the students parking in the seated in the Broncos section. What we did here, on the home side, we're going to put a piece of crime scene tape separating the 2 parking places, because we had parking places separated on the other side, and I'm going to explain to that in a minute. These ladies and gentlemen, they will come in the Madison County, the Central School gate, follow around through the Ag department by the old XL school, and park right there. And I listed those students, and I'll explain to the parents who those students are. The students in the Rocket parking, they'll come in the main gate at the high school, make an immediate right, come into the normal parking for home side football games, and park right there. That way there should be no more, if everybody brought 2 cars, no more than 50 cars per parking space. Again, we're limiting social distancing, or increasing social distancing. The students seated in the Colt section and the Indian section, they'll enter the main gate, hang a left, come around the visitor side of the stadium. Those seated in Colts will be able to enter the parking area for baseball and softball. Only those students and parents. There should be no more than 50 cars in that section. The parents and students seated in the Indian section will park in the student parking on the asphalt just outside the fence. So now we got all parking covered. Yes, ma'am.
Handicap and board member parking.
Thank you. Board members and handicap parking. To give you a visual on the stadium, in the Marshall Club parking, board member and handicap. Again, if that handicap, if they're going to park there, they need to have a parking ticket. They'll come in the main gate, hang a right, come around to the football field, and go into the Marshall parking gate and park right there in front of the pass gate, which is where the ag department, Mr. Sapp, used to take passes. They'll enter that gate. Why are we having a handicap come in that gate? Because of two reasons. Number one reason, handicap for non-ambulatory guests. Wheelchairs will be parked right here in front of the stage. If you're handicapped with a cane or a walking stick or walker, it's just as easy for you to park on this side and come in your gate than to park here and try to make your way around. So only those that are in wheelchair and scooters will park here. Everybody else will be parking their regular location. For example, if there's a handicapped parent in the Colts family, it's easier for them to come in here, this gate with a walker by the visitor concession stand and come right out to their seat than having to park here and come all the way over there. You follow me? So we're trying to make it as accommodating as possible with entrances and parking and so forth. So once they get parked, I'm going to go to the Broncos section. We're going to have a parking committee in each parking area. I'm also going to have administrators, one station at the gate. This gate, if you're familiar with the football field, where the band section sits, there's a single gate there. An administrator or district staff member will meet that family and graduate there and take them to their seat. While one is taking a seat, another will be coming back to get somebody. It's going to be a tedious process, but that's the best we can do to maintain social distance guidelines and keep it safe for everybody without having everybody free for movement. In the Rocket section, they'll come in the double swing gate by the home side concession stand. Somebody will escort them from that gate to their seating area. The Indian section will come in the gate on the north end of the visitor stadium, just near the tennis courts. We'll have an escort from there, taking them to their seat. These people in the Colt section, they'll come in the gate by the visitor concession stand and will be escorted from that gate to this gate, to their seat. Thursday, this coming Thursday at 8:30 at the high school in the media center. All administrators and all people responsible for movement will have a meeting. It's called an IPR, in progress review, on how this is going to work. And each person will be identified their specific job duties. The last thing we have under the campus entrance and parking, and as part of entrance to the exit in the field, all families and seniors must leave as soon as the graduation ceremony is over. There will be no social gathering. There will be no groups allowed on campus. Now, going back to the procedure, the entrance and exit of the field. I talked about the entrance already. Now the exit, we're going to do it in reverse order. Unfortunately, we're going to take a little bit of time doing this. but we're not going to have a mass exodus. We'll have ushers escorting from each section at the same time, taking them back out to the gate that they came in. Say, for example, I'm an usher on this side. I pick up Jaleesa Daniels and Reggie and his family. I take Reggie and Jaleesa to the gate. Once I get to the gate, that's your release point. Now, the family members and the graduate, it's your responsibility to go to your car and make sure you go to your car and leave campus. And we'll also have parking attendants and SROs out there to help encourage that. So we got people in, we got them parked, got the ceremony, talked about handicap seating. Now, one thing I have not talked about is rain delay. We have rain delay in all kinds of events. We're not going to do like Major League Baseball and have a rain delay of 3 or 4 hours. We start at 7 o'clock. If we can't start at 8 o'clock due to inclement weather, I'll make that call. If we have to postpone it, we'll postpone it to Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Because the chances of springtime, summertime storms in the morning are less than they are in the afternoon. I did do a check, a long-range forecast of the weather. Rain chances for Friday the 22nd are 20%. Rain chances for Saturday the 23rd are 80%, but that 80% is at night. So one thing I did not talk about, what if Johnny or Susie or somebody has to go to the restroom during the event? We're just not going to have freedom of movement. We're going to do the best we can to encourage no movement during our ceremony. However, if somebody has to go, they signal one of our staff members, and that staff member will get them to the gate. If you're seated in the Bronco and Coats section, you'll use the visitor side concession stand as a restroom. If you're seated in the Indians and Rocket section, use the home side for the restroom. Again, that's the closest restroom to the proximity of where people are seated. We can't control that. But again, we can't have freedom of movement during the ceremony. Yes, Ms. Joseph?
You want to review recording and photographing pictures?
Yes, ma'am. We are not going to have a professional photographer. Mr. Don Smith is going to take pictures for us. And I'm also going to try to get one more photographer to take pictures. We're going to take all the photographs and put them together on one CD. And if a senior wants a CD, we'll give them a CD. If they want to put it on a flash drive, the senior will need to bring us a flash drive because I can't afford $8 per flash drive. Also at the same time, Isaac, Mr. Goyette and his staff is going to take care of all audio and visual stuff. They're going to take care of the PA, public address, the speakers, the microphone. Mr. DeLuca is gathering recordings for music. We're going to have the national anthem, Pomp and Circumstance. I can't remember the name of the song that they play when they leave. But we're also going to have some before ceremony music and some transitional music throughout the program. Unfortunately, I'd love to have the band there, but it's not happening.
Just have a question in regards to the photographer. Could you explain that part again?
We're not going to have a professional photographer like Life Touch come and take pictures. Don Smith, who does the yearbook, is going to take pictures.
So he'll be able to capture that?
Absolutely.
Exchange?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Correct. I've spoken to another person, but I hadn't got a name back. I hadn't got a response back yet, but I'm highly confident. But one of the two will be stationed there to take the picture of me of Ms. Joseph handing her, the student, the diploma.
So you're saying the parents can't get up and take pictures?
No, ma'am. There will be no movement during the ceremony. No parents will be allowed to move during their ceremony.
Right, which is what led me to that particular question. Since there's no movement, I just want to capture that particular moment.
Absolutely. Between the two photographers, one of them I got committed and the other photographer, both of them are jam on. Probably some of the best we got.
And they'll post it where the pictures can be accessible for all of the graduates?
No, sir. We're going to take all the pictures, combine them together into one CD. And I'm going to give that graduate a CD of every picture that we take during the ceremony. If it's a picture of them, it's going to be on there. That picture of them getting the diploma will be on there. But also pictures of their fellow graduates and any other pictures. One of them is going to be taking pictures of graduates while the other one is going to be taking pictures of the ceremony. So yes, they'll have that picture, but I'm not going to let them choose from, I can't do that. I think that would be too cumbersome and too tedious. This is the best of both worlds. At SeaWorld, you ride the rides, they take your pictures, you get a photo card. I'm giving you everything. The only thing
Then they can make pictures from what you're given.
they can make a picture from that CD. The only thing that I cannot do, I cannot give everybody a flash drive. Just because the cost of CDs are little or nothing.
But during your meeting with seniors, you will let them know if they wish to buy a flash drive, get
Right.
with you.
After graduation is over, if they would like to put their pictures on a flash drive, all they have to do is contact me. And we'll ask them to bring us the flash drive. We'll transition them over to the flash drive and make sure the pictures that we have on the CD are the same ones on the flash drive. That's too easy.
Would a digital option be available? Because it's been a while since I used a CD.
The only digital option would be for me to post them. I don't know. Let me talk to Isaac.
Yeah,
Yes, we can do that.
yeah.
I'm not a technology guru. I know enough to be dangerous.
So I know a lot of the younger ones, they move more, they work more with the digital.
And that way they can click and pull. They can save what they want to their own. But either way, we're going to do everything possible. Also, one thing I did not mention, Sir Isaac, the technology guru, will also be videoing it and live streaming it just like he is now. And if somebody wants a recording of the video, I don't know if we can capture a recording. Yes? He says, yes, we can capture a copy of the recording and they can get a copy of it, but they'll have to work through him on that.
So they can stay home and he'll have provide a link for them to watch the ceremony from home.
Just
Am I
like we-
hearing that?
Yes, just like we do now. I think we've left every stone unturned. Unfortunately, the only downside, I have to limit the number of people. But it is what it is.
Is there any way, Mr. Solnecker, that we could see about having Mr. Smith and another photographer in case something goes wrong with one, you'll have at least a backup of another one there, like having two there
Absolutely.
to do?
I have two, but the second, if something happens with Mr. Smith, we'll stop the ceremony. If something happens, if his camera crashes, and my other photographer will come over and take his place.
Okay, just to make sure that we have it covered where we're covering everything. You just never know with those types of things
Yes.
with cameras and photographers.
And he usually carries a couple backup cameras. But I'm confident we've done everything we could to meet the needs. Actually, we're doing more than what some of the other districts are doing. Some of the other districts are having their seniors sit in the bleachers. Some of the other districts have less numbers of students. We're putting a senior with you, which is something that's never happened. We're allowing you to be in close proximity to the senior doing movement, which is something that's never happened. We're giving you a DVD of all photographs, which has never happened. We're also going to video it and live stream it, which I don't think has ever happened.
Not from the football field.
Not from the football field.
I personally like the idea of sitting with the parents and the graduates sitting together. I would have liked that idea when my son graduated.
Send him back to school.
No, he's finished with school.
Okay. I think I've covered everything. I think I've hit all the high points. I think I've shared all the information and been able to address all the comments and discussions. Delaying it is really not a good option. Doing an inside option. I did read where McClay School is doing a distant learning type ceremony where that graduate and his family will come in the gym, they'll hear their accolades, receive their diploma. When that graduate leaves the gym, another graduate will come in the gym. Worst case scenario, that was one of our options a long time ago.
Okay.
But
Can you speak with them about us? We have checked on the students with pre-existing medical conditions.
absolutely. We have checked students with pre-existing medical conditions without violating HIPAA or it's not a FERPA deal, so without violating HIPAA. We do have a couple, and it's nothing major, nothing that a mask won't take care of. And like I said, I'm providing masks for everybody. I do highly encourage families to really take a close look at their family members. If they have family members at home that are immunodepressant, deficient, whatever that word is. I can't spell it, can't say it. But if they have an immune deficiency, I'm gonna use my brother for an example. He's fixed to start cancer treatment. It trashes his immune system. It would not be a good idea for my sister-in-law to be around a whole bunch of people and have to go home. So I'm gonna caution them. I can't control what they do or don't do. All I can do is put out the word. That's why I said at the beginning, it's the family and the graduate assume full responsibility to follow CDC guidelines while participating in this graduation ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I've done the best I can.
I want to thank you, Mr. Stallmaker, for all this work you've done in this. It's been a lot of planning, a lot of work, and you know, as a board member from the beginning, I've wanted to see a graduation take place. I mean, this for us board members, this is the best time of the year for us. One of the best things we do as a board member is being able to go to the end of the year functions such as graduations, award days, to see the hard work that's happened throughout the year. So I'm glad we're able to have this. I know from the beginning when this all started, March the 13th, it's been a very fluid situation. And if you figure the days that we've been out, the week of May the 22nd, it's 10 weeks we've been out, and that's as much as summer. So that is a long time for us to even be able to be thinking of something of this nature, seeing that we have not had students on our campuses in the past 10 weeks.
Absolutely. Mr.
And I
Alford,
appreciate that.
If I may, in my years as a administrator and in my 26 years in the Army, I've gotten a lot of accolades. But I'd be remiss because behind every good leader is a good team. My administrative staff has done a tremendous job. Bill Hightower, Jada Williams. This field plan and this design and everybody that's doing all the work, Mike Coe, Richard Vester, Tyler Stevens, Jim Ertzberger, Joe Gaddy, they're doing all the field. They're doing all the work, getting the stripes done, getting the field mowed, getting the bleach, getting the track done. They've done all the work. Mike and his team has also provided input into the data. Not the data, but the layout on the field. I had to share that to show that it takes teamwork. And the team at the high school, I've led a lot of people. That's one of the strongest teams that I've ever worked with. The only thing that I hate is having to go home. But I'll hush.
Well, I just had a quick, I know you mentioned it earlier, how soon or when would you get this particular information out to them?
My intent right now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm reading your mind.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, because, you know, a lot of families are trying to prepare the
Correct.
invitations and everything.
My intent right now is to take this document, which is very similar to, I think you guys got a draft, very similar to the draft document that you guys have. I'm gonna get with Coach Gaddy tomorrow, and they've got an iPod and a tripod, and we're gonna video me going through this document, basically the same thing I had with you. And with this picture, but it's gonna be a little bit more detailed. Now, a couple of key points. These key points are here, and I talked about them. 6 tickets. Gates open at 5:45. Gates close at 6:40. Ceremony starts at 7. Parking, I talked about them. Bronco parks by the field house. Colts by the baseball, softball field. Indians and student parking. Rockets by the home concession. Practice, mandatory, May 20th. If you're not at practice, that means you don't get any admission armbands. Masks are a must, and they will be provided. Lastly, no moving chairs.
Can I clarify something for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we know, he says gates close at 6:40. We will not lock the gates. But they will not, as, just to reiterate, if you come at 7 o'clock or 7:15, you will not be going on the field.
Correct.
But we will not be locking the gates and locking anyone out.
Let me clarify that. The central school gate will be closed and locked. The high school gate will be opened, and there'll be an SRO and a school employee at the front gate. Obviously, why can't I close the high school gate? I got to have a way for emergency vehicles.
You gotta have an egress.
So that's why we won't close that gate. But I'm not going to leave the central school gate open and leave their campus wide open. When the central school's gate is open, there'll also be an SRO there directing traffic around. Because when you come in that gate, you got to show me your parking pass. No parking pass, they'll turn you around. 2 vehicles, 6 family members, 1 graduate.
Mr. Stallnaker, I'd like to thank you and your team for all the time and effort you put into this plan. I think you're going to provide a safe and enjoyable graduation for the graduates and their families. I know you're appreciated for this.
Maybe I'll get some sleep.
The what?
Maybe I'll get some sleep.
Go home and get some sleep.
I want to thank you too, Sam, for all the many hours that you and your staff put into working all these details out.
And also, just for the record, I wanted to, I didn't recognize our 2 board members who are with us remotely, Board Member Susie Williamson and also Board Member Sharetta Bell. Ms. Bell, you have anything?
I just want to thank Mr. Sam for all of his hard work and everyone that participated to make this happen for our senior graduates. I'm so proud of all the stuff that's going on and all the hard work that everybody is doing to make our seniors feel appreciated.
May I say one thing? For the seniors and the parents and the community, I would like to publicly apologize for any undue stress. But as a planner, you start at the bottom with the worst case scenario and have to work through that scenario to build upon. Rome wasn't conquered in a day. And just like we've told about these schools, it takes a small rudder to turn this ship. When you have a ship as huge as this district and this high school and this graduation, we're turning that ship and we're trying to set a precedence. With our graduating classes, I believe in the year's future, this could be a personal event. That's something that the future administration will have to determine, but it's a good plan. And if anybody has any questions, I'll do the best I can to answer the questions. Other than that, like I said, I'll do the video and get it out to the public tomorrow.
One other thing I would like to say, in addition to have met with the health department, we also would like to thank the emergency management department as well as the sheriff department. We have not been doing this in isolation. We've got rules to follow, okay? And we vetted this with all these different agencies before we brought this to you. We wanted to bring it to you before we publicized it and to get your feedback. And if we, like I say, he made a presentation this morning. We've tweaked it since then. Do you have any input for him to tweak before we release it? We respect your position and we want you to hear what you have to say about this.
I know there's comments, but after talking with the health department, we will not be checking temperatures. I know somebody has asked about that.
No, I mean, I think it's very there's been a lot of thought to how to strategically get people in and out and to social distance. The only question I have is, and maybe the health department clarified it, when you present the cover, because the diplomas, of course, are not in the cover, and would the student touch it or not touch it?
That's a very good question. The
Because
students,
if they touch it, then that's going to be, I mean, it would be better just to give them each a cover if they're all going to be touching that one cover.
nope, got you covered. We're gonna have hand sanitizer on stage.
We've got, she gave me out
Okay.
3 or 4 things of hand sanitizer today.
We got
Okay.
that covered too.
Okay, well, you've thought of a lot. No, that was the only thing that stuck out. If each student was going to touch the cover and then you're not sanitizing, then that would be
Yeah.
major.
The main issue that they've done it in the past to give them the diploma cover, to actually give them something, then everybody goes down to the cafeteria and get their diploma.
Right.
Since we're not giving diplomas that night, because I got to make sure all fines and everything's turned in, we'll give them everything on Tuesday.
That was my only question I had. And again, I'm thankful that we were able to do this for the seniors, because, I mean, all of us here wanted the seniors to have the most normal graduation we could have in this state of time we're in. And I think we're doing, that, and seeing, if you look at other districts, what they're doing, a lot are not doing as much as we're doing at all. And I appreciate what you've done in your administration. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Any other questions? Ms. Suzie or Ms. Loretta, any questions?
No, thank
No,
you,
sir.
Sam.
Well, basically, that's what I wanted to tell you, that we've got a lot of people working behind the scenes. We're listening to the people that contact us, and we're trying. But there's certain things, like when we first started out with this, we started out with 8 people, but our health department person says that was too much. And so we had to go back to the drawing table. We're doing this, but we've got to understand, if we do not, they're not really saying, they're not going to call it off or whatever, but we can be in violation of that. And so this is in the county, so we had to even contact the county commissioners about this. It's not something done in isolation.
Well, we want to be safe, and we want to have something that they can enjoy. And it sounds like this is what's going to happen. The main thing is the parents will have to learn all the procedure, because it's different for sure.
The main thing we
we're
got to
still
have
open
is
for
full
comments.
cooperation. The main thing we got to have is full cooperation by everybody, parents, students, and the people helping us on the field. And I need that commitment from the parents and everybody involved.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing, just if we can just get the word out to the parents and allow them, and the students rather, to be and inform them and keep them posted, and, let them know that it's a partnership, and I think everything will be all right.
Well, now, what happens if they're not on Facebook?
Put it on the website.
Website, Facebook?
this is a PDF and send it out on piece
And he will be meeting with the students face to face, and they will get a hard copy.
Actually, the team that was going to do the graduation reception, I have a meeting with them in the morning.
Very good.
I think we got everything covered.
Do you have enough staff to work this?
Absolutely.
You do? Okay.
All the district principals and APs and aspiring administrators will be there. I think I've
Good.
excused 2. Even the charter school administrators will be there with us.
That's good. I mean, the more people, the better it'll be for everybody.
I've never had this many people use it. I'll use it.
Good.
And we will be meeting face to face this Thursday. And 8:30. And
Good.
so if we need to come back to the drawing board, we have time for that.
I just wanted to commend the parents and the students. I think they stepped up and made their voices heard. We heard them, and I think we, under the circumstances, I feel that we as a district has done as best as we could under the circumstances. So I appreciate everybody involved, and we pray that everything go on as best as possible.
And as a reminder, the governor did extend the state of emergency last Friday for 60 more days. So we're still under state of emergency.
All right. If nothing further, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Ms. Gibson,
Approve.
Mr. Alford,
Approve.
Ms. Williamson,
Approve.
Ms. Bell,
Approve.
and I also approve 5-0. Meeting adjourned.